The parallel investigation into the Trump assassination attempt, led by Representatives Eli Crane and Corey Mills, took place yesterday. Corey Mills said that they want to try and rebuild the confidence in elected officials and noted that it's the first hearing, but it won't be the last. Here to discuss is Matthew Peterson, editor-in-chief of Blaze News, and Steve Friend, senior fellow for Center for Renewing America, FBI whistleblower, and co-host of the American Radicals podcast. So, Steve, thanks for joining us. I want to just jump in and ask you, can Americans be hopeful that this parallel investigation might be more fruitful than the current one going on inside Congress?
Any port in a storm at this point. I have no confidence that the FBI is going to carry forward a transparent and complete investigation. I mean, this is the same agency that said the congressional baseball shooting in 2017 was suicide by cop, not an actual assassination attempt. And they've classified this as potential domestic terrorism. So they're going to classify it in a way that they can't report back to Congress. This was the necessary step to have proper oversight. And this parallel investigation actually has a chance, if they put forward a proper and thorough investigation, bring forward some of the experts that can comment on it the best, that they might be able to get the American people some answers in a timely fashion. Look, the FBI agents, you only have to do one investigative action every 90 days to be in the good. The 60-day time limit for them is actually quite a big ask. I think that these guys that seem really interested and motivated to get the answers to the American people are going to outdo the FBI and put the real pressure to them.
Steve, what do you hear that other people are saying about this? And has it had an effect on the official investigation? Is this going to light a fire under people or people ignoring it? What's going on?
Well, I think that this will light a fire under people. I think that there's been actually an appetite galvanized within the media to expose some of the problems that have been ongoing within the Secret Service for a while. That's what gives me a little bit of optimism. I think I read a week ago in Real Clear Politics about the fact that Donald Trump's protective detail has some infighting going on, the fact that they had people falling asleep on duty, the fact that the people who were supposed to be running the show in Butler, Pennsylvania had no protection experience. The 2-decade experienced Secret Service agent who had proper oversight of that official event had never been on a protective detail. And that's been exposed in mainstream media at this point.
I love that they have the parallel investigation going on, but the one thing that does concern me is they don't have subpoena power. So how is that going to play out with this parallel investigation?
You can still do a lot. And that involves just recreating the scene, talking to the official witnesses here, and then putting the pressure on because you might not necessarily have subpoena power, but you do have oversight responsibilities. And there's a funding battle to be had. If these organizations, these agencies like the Secret Service, like the FBI, are not going to be forthcoming with that material, if they're going to say, I'm sorry, Congressman, can't comment on an ongoing investigation, there still is a last break glass, if necessary, situation here as the Republicans come up on the end of the fiscal year. There's going to be a budget fight. This could be a wedge issue. This is one case. They should demand the answers. They should demand the access to the materials that the FBI already has.
You know, yesterday, Corey Mills talked about how is this, gross negligence that's essentially criminal at the level of criminality, or is something else going on here? What do you think is the tip of the spear for the questions that need to be asked to get it which this is?
I think we need to go back in time. It's my contention that this is not a one-time incident. There's this myth of competence that exists with the Secret Service, like many federal law enforcement agencies. These failures, I contend, have happened for a long time, and they've just going on, and they just haven't been tested. They haven't had someone actually try to take that shot because people watch TV and movies, and they think that if I get up and take a pot shot at a current presidential candidate, then I'm going to get smoked by a counter sniper team. That's not true. So the best way to go about that is look at simple things like who was on their phone, who was on their government phone at the time that this was going on, maybe scrolling through social media. Let's go talk to the locals and see what sort of engagement that they got from the advance teams from the Secret Service. If those failures were happening, there's going to be a track record of happening in the past, and there will be local officials who are anxious to bring that forward because they are tired of getting blamed by the federal government for these failures.
Steve, there was a whistleblower that came out and told Senator Josh Hawley that Secret Service agents planning Donald Trump's rally on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, were discouraged from asking for extra event security. So in what world would that make sense, Steve?
Well, the funding for the Secret Service is up by over 50% in the last 10 years, but their staffing for the protective details is down. They've had such attrition rates. So they're going to make the argument that we don't do more with less. We don't have the manpower or the resources. We're going to have to spread this out there the best of our ability and rely on other assets like Homeland Security investigations to fill that gap, rely on locals to do that. But that just doesn't pass muster, especially when you have someone who is such a high influence person like Donald Trump. He should be afforded the maximum amount of protection. They can't just continue to rely on having a limited number of resources available to them.
Steve, how will we know when we can trust the Secret Service again? What needs to happen for us to trust them?
Well, the same thing that needs to happen with the FBI, a full and transparent look at what's gone on. The media has done that to a certain extent here. I think the shine is off the Secret Service. Look, it was exposed that in the last year, there have been multiple failures that have gone on that have gone virtually unreported. Last year, they had someone get onto Barack Obama's Hawaiian estate just to take pictures for social media. That wasn't reported. Just 2 months ago, the Miami field office had someone break in and spend the night and allegedly look at pornography all night long on an open internet source that the Secret Service had because they propped open the doors to get more ventilation. This is the myth of competence being fully exposed. And unless it comes to light to people and they realize how absurd it is that we fund these agencies, like the Secret Service gets $3 billion, like the FBI gets $12 billion, and they have just repeated failures over and over again, that will galvanize an appetite to do what is absolutely necessary at a federal law enforcement level, and that is to defang these agencies and empower locals. I've said over a year now that we need to take the guns away from organizations like the FBI and bring in local agencies, empower them to have federal arrest authorities. I think it's a little bit of a different animal with the Secret Service because of their mission set, but they need to change the way that they're recruiting and bringing people on and actually get people that are interested in doing the job and not just advancing themselves, like the lead agent in Butler, Pennsylvania, who likely only took on that job so that she could promote.